Hello. Back at Mom's house, was just having this thought about how movement works. See, for the longest time, I didn't understand what it meant to be alive because I had quit moving. I feel like a lot of us in America, we sit too much. So much of life passes us by. This message is for all of you people that are hurting and you don't know why. You're miserable in life. Guess what? It was you 6 months ago. Now I'm unemployed. I treat myself like a full-time job. Got a few irons in the fire. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I want. Some of you watching this are like, okay, wow, congratulations. And some of you are watching this and you almost hate me right now. If you're really honest, because you don't know what you want. And when you hear people say that, it fills you with like existential dread, right? Or anxiety, all these feelings about, well, why can't I have that? This is what it is to be in a rut, right? When you're just not happy. A lot of times, I've seen it where people just stay there. I was in a rut for a long time, and every second of it I hated it. But I didn't know there was a way out. Thought that was life. And so my heart hardened. I was not as calm as I wanted to be. I was not as kind as I ever wanted to be. I was not present. My life was living me. I wasn't living. I know what I want. If you've ever experienced those kind of feelings, then and seen the other side of it, or just dreamed of really knowing what you want, because that way maybe you could go do it. Maybe that might make your life better, right? And here's the thing, right? Knowing what I want is exciting to me. Getting what I want will probably make me miserable because it's about the journey. The destination doesn't matter. You got to find a destination that excites you enough to get you on the journey towards it, and then see where you actually end up. And that's the exciting part. That's living. You've got to be able to just roll with anything, just freeform it. Be very flexible. I'm getting there. That's one you've got to cultivate. Some of this stuff I didn't really cultivate so much as stumble upon, just like little tricks that made my mind work better and helped me get stronger physically and mentally. Because they're linked, they're the same thing. This dichotomy, it's a false dichotomy between body and mind, or brain and body. When you think of it brain and body, it makes perfect sense, right? Physiologically, they're linked. A problem in one can affect the other because they share blood, they share so many of the same pathways that nutrients and waste travel in. So obviously, they're all talking to the same people. It's like when you go to your lawyer and you're like, oh yeah, that's a good lawyer because he plays golf with the judge. Because they're part of a closed system. They know each other, okay? There's a relationship. So many people are sad because they're sad. And they're fat because they're fat. And they're sad because they're fat. And they're fat because they're sad. You see how those are two different things that suddenly became the same thing? It's because they are the same thing. And the insidious part about it is you can get stuck in a place where you're sad. You feel like you're so sad that you can't get unsad, and to work on yourself would just make it worse, because then you'd fail and then you'd feel worse. But it's like, at least I'm just holding on. I'm not dying yet. I'm just, oh man, got a death grip on my sanity right here. You know, I'm there. Just got to stay here. If you could just stay here. If you could just stay here. No, I'm telling you. The death grip is useful. All of that struggling gave you the strength. It's like exercise. All that mental struggling you did, all that anxiety. Your mind's working overtime. Guess what? Your mind being spastic just means it works out. So once you change those anxiety pathways, right, and you're like freaking out, and you just keep spinning in a circle, you're using a lot of your brain power, right? And you've managed to harness it for this amazing feat of computation, of figuring out all of the awful, horrible things that are happening to you and gonna happen and happened to you yesterday, and are happening because of the thought you're having right now. Okay? That is a superpower. Once you change how you use it. Like, once it becomes not about all the terrible things, all the scary things, once it's about, oh, I had this idea, and oh, okay, and now you've extrapolated into like this wonderful spot where you like just a beautiful imagination, and you've got this idea, something you're gonna do, right? Something novel, something that's gonna just excite you, your sense of wonder, right? This is how creatives work. Okay? That's why creative people are often so anxious and negative. It's because it takes so much work to do that. It's like it takes so many more muscles to frown than it does to smile. Okay? It's the same with the mind. But think about it that way. It's just really intensity, like really, really, really high intensity with no rest, high interval training for your brain. That's all your anxiety was. It's not a negative. It made you stronger in a measurable way if you can just change the conversation. Like, people that don't have anxiety, there's things they'll never think of. There's things they'll think of that we won't think of either. You know, people that don't suffer from that particular affliction. But, you know, I think it's part of the human condition. And more people have it than you think. It's just some people, maybe, there's some brain chemistry involved, obviously, but also there's a lot of learned behavior. And some people were just fortunate to have parents and environments that fostered a better stress response. You know, not all of us did. There's unfortunately a lot of broken homes, and just there's stuff in the world that isn't pleasant, and that's why it's not perfect, but we have to figure it out. And I feel like all the things that you struggled with actually help you out in the long run. I didn't know anything until I was humbled, and I could still use some humbling from time to time, and I think that's the nature of the human condition. But I just put it to you that it's better to feel the need to be humbled than the need to be punished. You know? It's like pride, yes, is a sin, but you're also supposed to take pride in your actions and your work. Let them speak for themselves, right? So a lot of that is being kind to yourself. If you can't do that, or you won't do that, that can be very just slow you up, man. Throws a wrench in the works. You gotta be kind. If you're not kind to you, how can you be kind to somebody else? You don't know what it is. It's a simulacrum if you're not practicing. That was a really cool noise. I think I'm going to go stretch. This has been Craig, ranting about something I've already forgot.